Welcome to the Lean Lounge, a podcast brought to you by Lean Revisions. Please welcome your host, Jeff Gray.
Hello, everyone. This is Jeff Gray from the Lean Lounge, brought to you by Lean Revisions. I want to thank you for watching our show, listening to our show all over Apple and Spotify and iHeart and SiriusXM. And I want to especially thank one of our sponsors, Sigma XL. Now, if you haven't heard of Sigma XL, Sigma XL is an Excel plugin to help you execute all of your Lean, your Six Sigma, your Agile, your PDCA, and really any other kind of process improvement approach that you're using out there in your organizations and in your businesses. Sigma XL has been around since the late 90s. I started using Sigma XL in the early 2000s, so date myself a little bit, for about 20 years. And over those 20 years, they have expanded and grown into an awesome software that'll help you execute your Lean Six Sigma projects out there. It's an Excel plugin. They have over 100,000 users. They're in over 180 countries around the planet, so they must be doing something right. And it's a very simple software that you can use. You can download off their site, plug it into your Excel. It'll help you do your charters. It'll help you do all of your statistical analysis, your hypothesis testing, your design, your Monte Carlos, your SPC. They have lots of templates for QFDs, for your root cause analysis. There's C&E matrix for your solution selection and root cause analysis. Everything you need to do to successfully execute a Lean project. So visit our friends at Sigma XL and download their software. Tell them Jeff from the Lean Lounge sent you, Jeff from Lean Revisions. I want to thank you for following along with us on our podcast and keep listening. I hope you are enjoying the variety of practitioners and authors and real life folks who are just executing projects and sharing some nuggets of knowledge along the way. So visit our friends at Sigma XL and download their software and continue watching the Lean Lounge. I'm your host, Jeff Gray. See you soon. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Lean Lounge. My name's Jeff Gray, and today I have a friend here, Ben Scholl. But before we get started and talk about Ben, I want to thank all of you out there watching, listening to us on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, and especially our sponsors, KPI Fire and Sigma XL. So now let's begin with Mr. Ben Scholl. Welcome, my friend.
Oh, yeah. Glad to be here. Well, thanks, Jeff. This is a real honor to be able to spend this time with you.
Awesome. So, you too. I know you took the bus up here and had a little trek to come up here and say hi in the studio.
Yeah. Probably not the most efficient process. And I don't like to sit in traffic.
Oh.
And Lean Revisions between me and my home is there's no traffic on the train and the bus. So that's how we got here.
You know, I was thinking about your drive up here. Yeah, we're about 2.5 hours from each other,
roughly.
So in Seattle traffic at 4 or 5 in the afternoon, it'll take you 8 hours to get home.
Yeah, you know what I'll be doing? I'll be watching on the train, just sitting there watching Netflix, enjoying the moment.
Awesome,
it'll be all good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So welcome.
Yeah.
And let everybody know who you are. Tell a little bit about yourself, background, what you do, and
yeah,
all that
sure.
good stuff.
So. I am the founder of BtoC Solutions. Well, co-founder. My wife and I co-founded the company.
I was going to say, you better get Cynthia in there.
Yeah. And, so what we do is we do a lot of different things. So the way we see it is companies do all kinds of things to get themselves started. So they wouldn't start a company if they couldn't get from point A to point B, right? So whatever it is you do, you build a hotel, you maybe run a casino. We work with a lot of casinos. Whatever it is you do. But then there's often skills or ways to optimize or do things that people can't get from point B to C without some support. And then once they learn that skill, and once they learn that new thing, that's what we do. So we do a lot of different things to help people on that journey.
Interesting.
And that's how we met you. We were helping one of our clients on that very journey. And you and I crossed and...
In New Orleans.
I
actually had lunch with Julia yesterday in Las Vegas. I came in last night. So interesting. So the BtoC is people are already getting from A to B.
Yeah.
And you get them from B to C. I love that. I didn't know that. I thought it was Ben and Cynthia Solutions.
It's that too. We thought it was clever. But
it is, 'cause that's what I thought.
Yeah, it's and a lot of it is connecting, right? So
right.
It doesn't necessarily mean that Cynthia or I have the skill for each of the things, but then
Right.
we have people within our networks that we connect. So clients
Right.
come and need a specific skill set, and then we connect and provide that path. So
Partnering with
all kinds of different people to make all kinds of different things happen. So
very cool, because that's what this is all about with the Lean Lounge, is everything under business operations, and everybody who has some nuggets of knowledge to share.
yeah.
Partnering with people, like my sponsors, their products help everybody out here listening optimize operations.
Yeah, and Six Sigma's Excel plugin has helped me, by the way, quite a bit.
Oh,
so
Sigma XL.
Sigma XL, yeah. I couldn't think of the name, but I used it when I wanted to be able to use Excel for my master black belt stuff and not have to buy extra software.
Yep.
Boom, right there, did it. So.
Yes, that's why they're here. See, and that's good. I'm glad you said that, because that's people. I'm glad you said that. This is not scripted or rehearsed, but I'm glad you said it, because it's a very good software to help you optimize your operations, and it's cost effective.
Yep.
And it works well as some of those other big ones out there. So.
And I'm biased. I know you're a former Microsoft guy. I'm still a Microsoft trainer and do all kinds of work supporting people with Excel. And I think there's a lot of underutilization of it, where you can do a lot of things. And that's just an example of a plugin that I have recommended to many people. So.
Right. So he's not telling the whole truth. He's an expert in everything Microsoft.
I don't know about everything.
Well, a lot more than me, because
says the guy who worked at Microsoft.
But
I never worked for Microsoft.
But I helped them optimize operations. Doesn't mean I knew how to use all of the bells and whistles of the product. Seriously.
Yeah.
I would go in and help, with licensing agreements and Xbox translation into different languages. So I didn't really get into, Word and PowerPoint and all that. I had to use it, but I had a team who could make me look good too sometimes. So.
Okay.
Hey, can you do that pivot table for me again?
Word on the street, Jeff, is that I think that employees at Microsoft actually get their whole library of training on their products, and I think it's included. You could have
it's in your onboarding.
Yeah, I think you might have had some resource accessibility.
I had a whole plethora of on library, but my colleagues were already up to speed, so
Yeah, and I think the Excel work I do is really tied in a lot to the BtoC piece, because a lot of business owners start because they're really awesome at doing a thing. Yes. Whatever that thing is.
Yeah.
And then they're like, well, now I got to do all this analysis because I don't really have that piece, because that's not my thing. So what I do with the Excel piece is really, that's one of my passions, is teaching people how to use a tool right at their fingertips.
Right.
Most business owners are paying for it in their Microsoft subscription.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they're able to make better decisions, be able to really move forward. And that's what I teach. Lots of different. We have 5 classes coming up next spring, and I teach. It'll be full of lots of small business owners, and then some folks work for companies, and they'll put them in. But and we teach Excel at all different levels.
So do you do this online, or do you do it at a location, or
our Excel
it,
programs, the 5 that we're doing next spring, are all virtual. I've done both.
Okay.
But usually if it's on site, it's a specific company that has a cohort of people that
makes it cost effective.
Exactly. Yeah. But this would be what we have coming up next spring. We've got 5 different offerings. They're all online. So
that's good to know. I didn't know that, because I have people that I know who need some help, not just me. But no, I work with a lot of businesses that are smaller also.
Yes.
And they really struggle with, they're trying to run a business.
Yep.
They're trying to get it up and from A to B.
Yeah, they got there.
They've got to A to B, but now their systems, they
can't quite get to that next level.
They're not optimized.
Yeah.
So I tell them, let's see what you're doing. So you see on my wall, SIPOC. I have people do their SIPOC of what's their steps and what do they really need and the ins and outs. So they can tell me what the input is and tell me what they need to happen.
Yep.
But then when they have that output, that's when I come to you and say, hey, here's what their requirements are. Can you help them map this up? And it's
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah.
It's just that we don't know how to do it. And
Yep.
I probably should have paid more attention in those classes. But I'm looking at more systems and cutting waste.
Yeah.
And then that's the handoff. That's the partnership. That's when I call you and go, hey.
I think they still need you though, by the way.
Yeah.
Word on the street.
Good.
But yeah.
So it's that integration piece, and you don't need to go buy something else. It's right there in your fingertips.
Exactly.
I've learned that from you at that last gig we did that
Yep.
we had some fun doing.
And that's really what it's all about for me, is finding easy paths where you can get people to that next level. Because often people are like, oh, to get to that next level, I have to spend all this money, do all these things. And it's often the simplest thing is not necessarily obvious, but the simplest thing is usually the least expensive.
Right.
And like this, and Excel's just a very small piece of what I do, but like Excel's a great example. People are like, I have to buy some business intelligence software and I need to do this and I need to do that and this. And it's like, no, bro, it's right there.
See, I know that's why you told me that about a month or so ago when I was telling you all this. You were like, do you already have it? And I'm like, I do? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Ben and I did a gig about a month or 6 weeks ago or something, and it was great. And so it was our first time working together. We met, but we didn't work together. So working together, you get to know people. And so him telling me about this and how he has integrated things and kept it simple and does all this training. He's been all around the planet, you guys. Trust me. He's been overseas. He's been in the Middle East. You've been in Eastern Europe. You've been all over the U.S. He's been everywhere, working with big organizations, helping them simplify. So he's really being humble. But he's very knowledgeable. And we were eating lunch and stuff on this thing and talking, I was like, I can utilize you for some clients that just need that from B to C.
Yeah.
Because they're swimming in data and process, and they're trying to be out in the field running, and they don't have, the things on their phone they might need to or anything like that. So it's very cool. That's a nugget of knowledge that, people can utilize.
Yeah. And
it's right there.
Yeah, and I think that when you get a lot of really smart people together, and usually smart people are the ones who are leading organizations, and they think that it takes a really complex, smart solution for their problem.
Yeah.
And then when you start trying to make something complicated, believe me, there's always an expensive, smart solution to your whatever it is you need to solve.
Your simple problem.
And I would propose that perhaps there's also a simple one that if you think about things differently, and that's what I love to do, is like, how can we think about this problem differently? How can we unpack this? Come up with a path forward that's creative but simple. Like that's gonna. And if you think about it, the most successful companies out there, Apple's a great example of this. The products they make aren't super complicated; they're easy, right? And simple is usually a lot harder to create than complex. But once people do it, they're like, I can do this, and then that I can do this. That light bulb fits right in with all the things I love. So
awesome. So let's go back a little into years. How did you get started in all of this data and analysis? You went to school. You did what?
I did go to school, but not for that. So how far back do you want to go, Jeff?
I don't know. High school. Where are you from?
So I grew up in Florida.
Okay, cool.
And in high school, went to an IB program, and what I valued about my experiences there was it was one of the academically best high schools.
A what program?
International Baccalaureate.
Okay.
And it was actually St. Pete High.
Cool.
St. Pete. Not a good moment for them right
now.
They're in my thoughts. But I went to St. Pete High in Florida.
Cool.
And it taught me how to think, because really the whole thrust of it, you had to write a thesis. And you had to test out of all the subjects, and there was a lot of different things. But it taught me how to think. Then I went to liberal arts college. Best thing happened there was I met my wife. Second best thing that happened there was I continued to learn what later I would become one of my personal values of courageous curiosity, and that's the idea that you question everything even if it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
To
Oh, I love
understand
that.
it.
Yeah.
And then the courageous part, that's the curiosity part. The courageous part is being bold enough to try and do something about it. Because it's one thing to be like, I question this, and I see this thing, and you try and do it. So that really came to life at AC, Austin College, where I went to college.
Love it.
Fast forward in time, started my first business there. That one failed. A little young. I was like 22 maybe.
Yeah. You're learning.
Yeah.
Questioning. Challenging. Love that.
Yeah. Learned that you can't do everything all at once. And I think I tried to invest in too many ideas all at the same time.
Yeah.
Wasn't super successful. Then I got into hospitality. And I worked in Vegas at a pretty large property. Worked there 6 years. Got my master's in hotel management from UNLV. And really, really, what I loved about hospitality is I love people, and I was able to activate that, and then it was always different, especially on the Strip in Las Vegas.
Of course, every day is different.
Every day is an adventure.
In the front or the back room.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
I was just there yesterday.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the path forward over time, found myself just digging into new adventures. It's another one of my personal values is always having an adventure, finding new things and new ways to do things.
Right.
And then jumped out on my own because I was like, I want to just do
what I want to do.
Yeah,
try it out.
I want to be able to help people. I was doing a lot of it in the resorts that I was working in.
Right.
I was an executive for almost 15 years, and
very cool.
And the rest is history.
Cool. He's adventurous, you guys. He just climbed Mount St. Helens. Wasn't that it?
Yeah, we made it to the top. I wouldn't say that it was a role model of what I learned in this experience.
Because he sent me a picture, and I'm like, dude, what?
So what I learned through that experience is that I love to hike. I am not a mountaineer. So I did summit Mount St. Helens about a month ago.
He sent me a picture. He's wearing like what he's wearing at the top of the mountain. And I'm like, where's your backpack? Where's your hiking gear? He was like in a shirt. I know it's summer, but I was like, dude, you're...
You need to stop.
What an adventure.
Yeah, it was an adventure.
I loved it. I loved that.
Yeah, one of the lessons that I learned in that is that you need to read the preparation checklist. And you need to read that preparation checklist more than the day before when you're like, whoa, I guess I'm hiking Mount St. Helens at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. And they're like, oh, you need a headlamp. Well, I don't own that. So we're going to just make it.
We're just going to
make it happen. This, do that. Yeah. But we made it. I can't, 16 hours up, down, alive.
That's cool, though. That's very cool.
Yeah, it was fun. Always looking for new adventures. And that was my...
That's very cool.
Gosh, I don't even remember how that one came up, but it came up and we did it.
Well, your wife was telling me on the gig that you were going, so we started chatting about it.
No, I don't remember how it came up to do it.
Oh,
I don't know, where I got that idea. Well, yeah.
Anyway, so that's cool. So I didn't know some of these things about you. Your background in Florida and your adventure experience. So we have to talk about our gig we did at a high level. That was really fun. So we did a gig when you were going to Mount St. Helens 6 weeks ago or something like that.
Yeah, sounds right.
It was at the beginning. It came up rather quickly.
Yeah.
And we put it together, and we worked together. We had a few challenges at the beginning, but we worked through them. And what do you think about that experience? What did you think about some of the nuggets of knowledge? Because part of the things I like to talk about is, when you go into something and it's not like you had anticipated, and you're consulting, you do things. What are some things when you see a challenge in consulting or working with clients, and what's your approach to things?
So what I try to do is back away and start to figure out from a high level what's going on here, what is the intent of the the management or the group that brought me in.
Yeah.
And then what's the intent and goals of the people who are in this team?
Right.
And like, how do we marry those two?
Yep. Yeah.
And move them forward? It's one of the benefits, right? I get to go into organizations, but I'm not attached like someone who works there every day.
Yeah.
They're the cheese they see is their cheese.
Yes.
And me, I'm like, hey, my cheese is the effectiveness of the whole organization. So like, well, what do we got to do here to move forward? But then I think one of my favorite things was watching. You were really effective at the relationship piece, winning like the really like I'm very cerebral. Let's think about this. How are we going to do the step 1, step 2? What's the map here?
Yes,
and it's not wrong.
Yeah.
Either way is not wrong.
Right.
But you were laughing it up and joking. I was like, okay, all right. This doesn't feel funny. This doesn't feel funny, but Jeff's laughing. So okay, I'm gonna. That's a good approach. It seems to be lowering everybody's.
The
passion.
The thickness of the air was going down. Yeah.
So
it was
good. I enjoyed the opportunity to collaborate and watch some of the ways that you're able to activate the same things in people, but go about it in different ways.
Yeah.
And I think that it's a different approach, and I definitely valued that part of the experience. And then I think we made an impact for the client.
Oh,
they said
definitely.
we did.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
That was super rad.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I thought it was a good balance because we would look at each other from across the room and we would kind of go, how are we going to do this? And I think the different approaches were why we were on day 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. And
we hit our
the
mark.
finale, man, and the team that wasn't working very well together.
They were by the end.
They were by the end, and they were having fun, and it was the air thickness was down to nil. And that's part of the how you do it. You assess where you're going into. Is every organization is different.
Mm-hmm.
Culture, leadership engagement. The fiefdoms. They're all set up. The organizational structure.
Yeah.
So that's what I like about doing this is going in there, and we were a great balance. So definitely we're going to do some more stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
And it's a learning experience.
Absolutely. If you are not learning something new in every project, then you got to ask more questions about and reflect more because I learned a lot that whole experience, and every day is, like I said, a new adventure, and that was just a different one that you and I got to go on together.
And I liked the way that what Ben did at the end. So we were putting together the final presentation.
Mm-hmm.
And do you remember you came up with the thing, you called it the what do you call it, the circle thing?
Oh,
the
appreciation.
Feedback?
Yeah, appreciation. Yeah. So, okay.
And I looked at you like, what?
So I'm just a big believer that appreciating what each member of the client team and myself and you
brilliant.
It
was brilliant.
And who doesn't like to be appreciated? So we were able to do a little bit of appreciation at the end, which I think after spending 5 days doing a big project,
rapidly executing, no holds barred. It was 95 degrees out, and we were just going for it.
Yes. And it was good. It was good preparation for Mount St. Helens.
So getting back to the final thing there, because when Ben was telling me what this appreciation thing was, I was like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And so when the meeting, the final presentation, we started doing this, and I didn't think it was going to go as well as it did, and it was awesome. It was phenomenal. And I told you I'm going to borrow that. I'm going to leverage that because it made the team. After we roll off, they're able to now talk to each other at the different levels and structures, and they really appreciate it. It wasn't difficult to people to look at someone and go, because one of the leaders had some issues, and then when he or she presented, I was like, yeah, good job, Ben, good job. It brought everything full circle, and now the business is operating better because the communication and the value that each person brings to that group was recognized.
Yeah.
And that was brilliant.
Well, Okay, so one of the things that I've learned in managing and leading people is that the cry of every human is to be seen, heard, and valued.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
one of the challenges is that when we get too focused on doing a thing, whatever that thing is, so
Yeah.
we've done a lot of things that week, 5 days of doing,
Right.
people begin to not feel seen or heard or valued.
Yeah.
So I always, especially in task-oriented workflows, try and find ways to bring that human piece in because I think that it adds the ability for people to feel like, okay, all this effort was seen and valued.
Yeah. That's great.
I mean, selfishly, I also, like, if we're doing appreciation, I often love to hear, too, like, hey, they appreciated this that I did. So, usually you get that. And what's cool about it is you'll learn a lot about what ways, and because sometimes we show up in a way for people how we think they want. And then you're like, oh, they're not appreciating me for this thing that I was going and thinking, okay, the client wants me to do this. Right. They're like, hey, I really appreciate this other thing you did. And you're like, oh, okay. So you learn a little bit, and then you can take a mental note, okay, this is a really important thing for this client, this partner that I'm working with.
Right. So,
yeah.
If you take it to another client, another industry, it'll still work. It was brilliant. It was very good. Very brilliant. So I'm borrowing that one.
You should use it. Yeah,
I am.
I'm a big fan of appreciation in general. The key is to make sure that it's really specific and that you think that it will highlight for the person you're in the room something that you think that they will remember. It's not really super great to be like, hey Jeff, I appreciate you. You got to be like, hey, I really liked how you did
X,
Y, Z, and then they're like, oh, he noticed that. Okay.
Right.
So, because sometimes I see people.
Then you're.
I'm like, I encouraged people to all my career. I've been like, hey, you got to appreciate people more. Right. When I'm talking.
Right.
And then they'll just go around me, great job, and people are like, I'm
what?
standing at the front desk. So that's not exactly it.
Yeah.
But like when you're really specific, it makes people feel seen, and that's helpful.
Yeah. I had one client that when we went on the Gimba walk, there's 300 people who worked there.
Okay.
And he knew everybody's name. He knew their kid's name. He knew everywhere. It was a huge operation.
Yes.
And it was noisy, and it was a little dirty.
Yeah.
And on the tour, we took like a 4-hour Gimba walk just to understand the business and see everything. He was waving to people. We would stop, and he'd talk to people for a couple minutes, and there'd be like 10 people around him. And you could just feel that it was genuine.
Yes.
It was honest. And they were, working like crazy to make sure that they kept that, appreciation in there. So that's the way to do a lot of this. I think how you build the culture and structure and sustain anything you're trying to do.
Yeah, and
be authentic.
It's interesting these walks that we do a lot with Six Sigma and lean processes.
Yeah.
The intent is to learn about the process usually, right? I have often found that I learn more about the leader watching how they not only explain the process, but when they go onto the workspace, watching the energy that's between them and their teams will answer a lot of questions about A, what's current state, and then B, what's possible. Because if a leader is able to do what you just described, that tells me this is a connected leader. This is someone who values the people on his team.
Right.
That when you invest in your team will be open to change. Your team will give back. And then conversely, I've done these walks where everybody's like, they see them coming and they're like, oh my gosh, the bosses are here. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be a hard project. Okay. Because, culture often determines with an outsized degree the impact of change.
Yes.
And that those walks tell me a lot about the culture.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, me too. I've seen them all. Yeah. When people are happy and hey, come on, let's talk. Or here they go. They're on their. What are they doing now? Yeah. It tells a lot on that walk. Very cool. Awesome.
And it's interesting. I'm sorry. Go one more thing on that.
Sure.
I've one of the things that I've learned over the course of my life with working with people is that I used to think that you get to be super successful by knowing things. And doing things, right? Like when I was new, like I wanted to be the knower of everything, right?
Oh, gotcha.
And then what I've learned is I see leaders like that now, and I'm like, they haven't learned yet.
Oh, yeah.
That you get to be successful by empowering people who know things.
Yes.
And empowering your people to do things.
Right.
And like, if a process is broken, often you go back whys and you ask those whys over and over.
Right.
And then you get to, because the leader is the only keeper of truth in this organization. And their truth doesn't see enough because they're not in the work, right? But they want to be the knower and the doer of all things. So everything is very like, I tell you, you do.
Right.
We don't question, we don't improve, we don't make in the moment adjustments, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think that it's when I was newer in leading people, I used to think I got to know it, I got to know everything. And now I'm just really super comfortable. Like I have people will come to me with stuff and they're like, "Here's our problem," and I'd be like, "I have no idea." And I know someone who knows, which is exactly why I pulled you into the project that we just did, because I was like, I know this guy. His name's Jeff. He runs this super awesome company. We're going to collaborate on this because I don't know how to get you to point C here.
Right. Good. Yeah, that's the consortium of all of us consultants working together.
Exactly.
Because I just like you. I just before we even sat down, I was telling you about I'm going to use you for one of my things. I don't know. That's how we work. So that's partnering. Bringing the right people in at the right time. And I even tell clients, hey, when we get to this point, we'll find the right solution, or we'll let you know. I know people who can do this or that. So that's a good thing too. So very cool, my friend. Very cool.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
Awesome.
It was an honor to be here with you.
Well, before we go...
we have more to do. Okay.
Yeah, you have to tell everybody how to get a hold of you.
Sure, yeah. So you can go BtoC Solutions. It's BtoC Solutions.com. That's our website. You can also follow us on LinkedIn at BtoC Solutions, BTO. So people type the two, but it's not BTO Solutions. Or you can reach out to me directly, Ben in BtoCSolutions.com. So
awesome. All right, and you have a website?
Yeah, BtoCSolutions.com.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
And you can reach out and connect through there, or you can connect with us on LinkedIn. And we try to post nuggets of wisdom and truth.
There you go. Nice.
Love to hear anything that is on your mind or things that we might be able to help with, and we'll see if we can connect you with a solution. So
to get from A to B to B to C.
So absolutely.
Nice.
Well, thank you, Jeff.
Hey, thank you for being here, my friend.
All right.
Awesome.
Pleasure.
And thanks to our listening audience and our sponsors once again, Sigma XL and KPI Fire. And if you would like to be a sponsor on the show, get a hold of us at leanrevisions.com or contact at Lean Revisions. And if you need any help from Six Sigma and Lean Operations Management, you know who to call. Thanks again, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Welcome to KPI Fire, Strategy Execution Software. Align strategy, drive execution, engage people. Here's how it works. First, you create a dashboard of strategic goals and the key metrics that demonstrate success. Then projects are created that cascade under those strategic goals. The progress of those projects and the movement of their metrics roll up into the strategic goals they belong to. With KPI Fire, your strategic progress becomes tangible, measurable, and at your fingertips. KPI Fire also allows you to capture your employees' best ideas for continuous improvement and reward those contributions. From top to bottom, your organization can clearly see strategy, and everyone feels that they have a say and a stake in the success of that strategy. It means that management can clearly prove hard and soft savings, and that they aren't wasting time rolling up reports. And it means that every employee can have simple, real-time visibility on projects and strategy progress. And what that translates to is alignment, strategy becoming reality, and igniting success. KPI Fire is a simple, intuitive interface. It's the right tool for any improvement approach and any size team. And it's easy. It requires no download or IT support and is at your fingertips on any device. Instant visibility to your business. Align strategy, drive execution, engage people.
For more information on today's show or to become a sponsor, visit leanrevisions.com. Join the virtual studio audience by emailing podcast@leanrevisions.com for tickets. Follow us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and X. This podcast is hosted by Jeff Gray, produced and edited by Make Your Day Richer.